Aladdin's getting 2 new songs. Disney refused to hire James Gunn back. Wes Anderson's going back to WW2. Welcome to Movie Emporium's news of the day. What's up, guys? Welcome to Movie Emporium's news of the day for August 16th, 2018, where we take stories from around the world of movies, break them down, and tell you about them one by one. If you like what you see, remember to rate, subscribe, check out YouTube, Audioboom, Facebook, and Twitter. Tell us what you think, all that good stuff. But with that, we'll jump into our first news story, which is... So Disney is on this roller coaster ride recently where they have been back and forth on whether they decided that the firing of James Gunn was a good thing. Everybody agrees it wasn't. David Bautista thought it was terrible. Chris Pratt thought it was terrible. Zoe Saldana thought it was terrible. Most of the ongoing public thought it was terrible. The guy wrote tweets 10 years ago. We already all know about it. He apologized for it. We moved on. Disney apparently didn't like it. Alan Horn jumped the gun, fired James Gunn. Sorry for the pun. So there's been this back and forth about whether they should hire James Gunn back. And they said no for the most part, but Marvel was trying to get them to hire James Gunn back. Well, it was reported yesterday that Disney is pretty much set on not hiring James Gunn back. Unfortunately, that sucks. I hate that, but hopefully this is the end of it. We can move on. You know, James Gunn's a talented director. He's going to find other properties to work on. Like I said, I don't like the fact that he's not coming back, but I can't stand seeing these stories that go back and forth, back and forth. Today is Movie Pass, tomorrow is James Gunn. What's it going to be the next day? You know, Zack Snyder. And it's just nice to see that maybe this is the end of it, and maybe we can just move past it because it's not worth talking about anymore. James Gunn got opted out of his contract. It's done. So, but that's pretty much it on that story. It's nothing special, but it's something to, I guess, talk about because it's a pretty slow news day. But with that, we'll go ahead and move on. And our next story is, of course, Aladdin, another Disney property. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but I've never been the biggest proponent for the live action movies. I did enjoy Jungle Book. I've heard that Lion King is supposed to be really good as a live action movie. It's supposed to be really well shot by Jon Favreau, which actually did Jungle Book. There's also Beauty and the Beast, which was a massive hit. I hated it. I love the animated movie, but I thought it was needless and unnecessary. And I'm thinking about the same thing with one of my favorite animated movies of all time, which is Aladdin, which actually might be my favorite animated movie of all time. And yeah, it has Will Smith. It's being directed by Guy Ritchie, who does bad. You know, he has Sherlock Holmes and King Arthur, and so, anyways, the two composers that won Oscars for La La Land, they're contributing new songs with Alan Menken, who actually did the music for the original movie. I think it's great. I'm glad for them. Their actual names are Benj Pasek, sorry if I mispronounced that, and Justin Paul. Like I said, they won for City of Stars, which if you've seen La La Land, you know Ryan Gosling created that song in the movie, and so he sings it, throughout as a melody, and that movie is just, a musical to begin with. So the music they have in there is quite amazing. They're very talented, composers. I'm kind of like split between the idea that they're there just for the fact that I'm happy they're getting work, and the idea that they're making Aladdin, live action movie. It'll probably be fun. It'll probably make lots of money. But like with Mulan, I mean, it's just sometimes I think Disney is too much up their own butt sometimes. And they do things that don't make any sense, but from a monetary standpoint, it makes sense. So, I mean, that's pretty much it on the story, but it's just like I'm happy for the two composers because I love La La Land and I'm sure they're going to create great music. But I'm just like, do we need this live action movie? And apparently Disney thinks we do. But like I said, I'm pretty interested to see what Jon Favreau is going to do with Lion King. So, but with that, we'll go ahead and move on. So Wes Anderson You guys may or may not know him. You may have seen his films. He did stuff like Rushmore, The Grand Budapest Hotel, Moonrise Kingdom, Fantastic Mr. Fox. He just came out with Isle of Dogs. He's a very eclectic director. He's very unique. He has a very unique style. It's something that not a lot of directors even copy because he has pan shots that are to music. They're very slow moving. He uses a camera in a way it's almost like a play. If you watch like Moonrise Kingdom or Grand Budapest Hotel, it almost looks like it could be a play. Isle of Dogs is kind of like it's almost like a musical wrapped in like a weird comedy about dogs that are transported to a trash island because Japan's afraid of the fluenza or whatever it's called. But he's now involved with this production, which doesn't have a title yet, but it's a World War II musical that's going to be set post-World War II, but it's going to be set in France. So it's going to be very colorful. It's going to be very weird and kind of chaotic, but it's going to be fun. It's going to be enlightening. It's going to be what you would think would be Parisian cinema, just a very different, interesting look at how you film a movie. If you ever seen like 500 Blows, or seen just all these types of films that take a unique style and run with it. It's hard to explain, but Wes Anderson, if you've seen any of his movies, this is going to be a very unique movie. I'd be interested to see if Bill Murray sings in that movie, or Edward Norton, or Ralph Fiennes, Scarlett Johansson, Frances McDormand. I mean, it'd be interesting to see these guys sing because we saw what Hugh Jackman did, but we also saw what Russell Crowe did. So it could be interesting. Bill Murray, if you haven't seen the sketch where he sings about Star Wars, he's like, Star Wars, nothing but Star Wars. He plays a lounge singer, so it's going to be interesting to see if he actually does sing in the movie. But Wes Anderson doing a musical, I'm all for. Whether I'll like it or not is a different story because Isle of Dogs was kind of a miss, but Grand Budapest Hotel was an awesome movie, so we'll see how he does. He's Wes Anderson, so it's going to be it's going to do well, and so on and so forth. But our next news story is, we talked about Remy He, who was in the upcoming Rich Crazy Asians or Crazy Rich Asians that came out actually yesterday, Wednesday. We found out that he was going to be in Spider-Man Far From Home, which was cool. It was an interesting story, but now we got a possibility of a new villain for Spider-Man Far From Home. And it's the character of Hydra Man. And I don't really know much about Hydra Man. I guess he fell into radioactive water. It's one of those typical weird things that Stan Lee came up with and Jack Kirby. All these guys, they have different weird takes on how they create superheroes and supervillains. It's just interesting to see because on top of the diverse cast, we're getting villains that we don't usually see in these types of movies. Black Mask is going to be in the new Birds of Prey. Mr. Negative is going to be in the Spider-Man game. I'm glad to see that they're not just going Green Goblin or Electro or Doc Ock. They're taking different chances on different characters. Vulture, who's a fantastic villain but was never used, was finally used with Michael Keaton, and it was really, really well done. So I don't know if they actually have an actor playing Hydra Man yet, but the idea of him possibly being in the movie, it makes it so you can learn a little bit more about these characters because, for instance, with Iron Man, we never really knew about his character. People knew about him, but they didn't really know him until, Iron Man came out. So, but it's an interesting story, Hydra Man as a villain. So, but with our next news story, so I don't usually talk about Netflix, but I found this kind of an interesting story. Melanie Laurent, who you might remember from Inglourious Basterds, she was the lady who ran the movie theater. She escaped from Christoph Waltz's character in the beginning. She was also in Now You Can See Me as the agent, the CIA agent. She's been cast in the new Michael Bay movie called Six Underground. There's not much known about what it's about, but I brought up this story because she's a fantastic actress. If you don't know much about what she's done, she's been in Denis Villeneuve's Enemy, Mike Mills' Beginners. She's an up-and-coming actress who has a lot of range, a lot of talent to her character. I mean, if you watch *Inglourious Basterds*, I think she was criminally not nominated for an Oscar, which she should have been, because she owns that movie. She goes from being really scared, really frightened, to just going on a vendetta that makes that movie, in the theater. If you haven't seen it, I'm not gonna spoil it for you, but she also joins the cast of people like Ryan Reynolds and Corey Hawkins, Manuel Garcia Rufo, Ben Hardy, and Dave Franco. It's also being produced by David Ellison, who is a really well-known producer. His sister, Megan Ellison, is in charge of A24, which is one of the cream of the crop indie, independent cinema markets right now. They've done stuff like Eighth Grade, It Comes at Night, all these fantastic movies like The Witch and whatnot. But I just find this an interesting story because they also have the writers that took care of Deadpool 2. And the fact that Ryan Reynolds is in it, I don't know if it's going to be a comedy. It probably won't be because it's Michael Bay, but it'll have humor in it. But I really like Melanie Laurent. I think she's a great actress. I think it'd be interesting to see her work with Michael Bay. And the fact that Michael Bay is not doing a Transformers movie, it's kind of nice. So, I mean, it's not a massive story, but it's a story that I like to talk about because when I like an actress or an actor, I kind of like to spotlight them, I guess is the easiest way to put it. So I figured I'd give you guys that story. I found it kind of interesting. So, and our next news story is Alexa Demie, who is going to be in the upcoming Jonah Hill first directorial effort, mid-90s, is going to be in a new movie musical by A24 called Waves. And she joins the cast with Sterling K. Brown, which is an amazing actor. If you haven't seen The People vs. O.J. Simpson, check it out. He's going to be out in the upcoming Predator. Lucas Hedges, which is this up-and-coming massive actor who was in Manchester by the Sea, Lady Bird, got an Oscar nomination for Manchester by the Sea. She also joins, Taylor Russell, who was in Lost in Space. It's an interesting story. Apparently, it's about a musical drama about a teenage life, focusing on two young couples as they navigate the emotional minefield of growing up and falling in love, which I'm reading from the article. So I just want to give a shout out to them. But I find this kind of interesting just in the fact that A24 is doing a musical, and which means it's probably going to get Oscar consideration. And the actors and actresses they have in this movie, like Lucas Hedges or Sterling K. Brown, I find it really fascinating because they're really great actors in general. They do some amazing work. Lucas Hedges is just come out of nowhere, and Sterling K. Brown has just come out of nowhere. It's just, I find him really fun. But the thing I most enjoy about this is I'm a huge Nine Inch Nails fan. So when Trent Reznor got involved with Social Network with Atticus Ross, they created like a fantastic soundtrack to the Social Network. It was unique. It was very Nine Inch Nails-ish, but it was an interesting take, and they won an Oscar for it. They're involved with this musical called Waves. So my immediate excitement for this movie just shot through the roof. It's gonna be interesting to see what they do and how they're involved with this movie. Just what the level of what they could be able to create, I guess, is the easiest word to put. But I mean, like I said, it's not a huge story, but it's a fun story in the fact that when you get these types of actors and you get the composers mixed together, and you just get the story about couples falling in love, it's going to be a very weird movie. It's going to be a very interesting movie. I don't know much more to say on it, but just the fact that Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross are involved with it, like I said, I'm really excited for it. So, and also, if you guys haven't check out the mid-90s trailer because it's wholly unique. Jonah Hill is being Jonah Hill, but he's directing it, so it's a very Jonah Hill-ish type movie. So I figured I'd shout out to that one too. But so our last news story, and it's not really a news story, but it's an interesting thing that happened. So we have this movie called The Nun coming out. It's set in the Conjuring universe. It's about this nun. It's about these priests. They go to this castle or whatever to try and exorcise a nun or whatever. I don't know what's going on in this movie, but The trailer that they released, and they've only released one trailer, has been one of the most effective trailers I've ever seen for any movie. I mean, it has a cool setup of, which I don't really care for, but it has a kind of a cool setup where they go to this castle, the nun is stalking behind the woman, and then a jump scare happens, and it like everybody in the theater jumps. It's some of the craziest things. There was, like I said, there was one time when I saw this movie called Gothica where an incident like this happened, but I've never seen a trailer really do this before. Yeah, there have been trailers that have had jump scares, but it's like you sit there and you go, holy crap, they actually created a fantastic marketing moment in a trailer. And of course, they probably knew that this was going to happen, but I just found it kind of funny that that one single moment kind of just set a precedence. I mean, they show the trailer last, and it makes people jump and scream, and then they talk about it, and that's how movies, do successful business, is because you marketed the trailer well, and I appreciate them for that. Even though the movie looks like crap, I appreciate what they've done. But the one thing I wanted to talk about was, so they released a TV spot that it goes into some stuff about the nun, and it shows the nun's picture, the white face or whatever, and then it does the jump scare with the woman in the mouth and so on and so forth. That's pretty effective marketing. They're playing on that jump scare from the trailer. Well, people were complaining, and they pulled the trailer or the TV spot or the commercial, whatever it was. And I'm sitting here going, you guys created a great marketing gimmick, and people are complaining, so you're pulling it. And this happens all the time where people complain and stuff gets pulled. The whole James Gunn situation, like I talked about earlier. And sometimes I think we as a society have more power than we should. And especially when it comes to creative art, nobody should really have, unless it's something that's damaging to someone or somebody that it can hurt someone. I think the idea of freedom of expression when it comes to art, like movies or songs or video games, it shouldn't be held back. It shouldn't be created for somebody to just take it off as they will, because that small piece of marketing creates an effective awareness of the movie, and it gets people excited to go see the movie. I mean, I haven't seen something that effective in forever. Maybe since Independence Day with the blowing up of the White House. But I just want to kind of share my opinion, because I think it kind of sucks that they're doing that they bend to these people's will. But I mean, that's all I really have to say about it. But it's just, I found it kind of interesting that they pulled that trailer, that TV spot, because it did what it was supposed to do. And the fact that people got scared, all I'm going to say is, don't watch it. If you know what the movie's about, don't watch it, because that's the whole point of that TV spot or the commercial, is to scare you, to make you want to go see this movie to get scared. And they did a good job, and they got penalized for it. So, guys, that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for watching our movie news of the day for August 16th, 2018. As always, if you like what you see, remember to rate, subscribe, check out YouTube, Audio Boom, Facebook, and Twitter. Comment below. Definitely let us know how we're doing. Tell us what you like, what you don't like. I love to talk to you guys. So, but with that, remember, as always, email us at nlapola113@gmail.com. But otherwise, we'll see you guys later. Peace.